This is the all-new Nissan Murano. Finally, after 10 years, Nissan has redesigned, changed a lot of things about the Nissan Murano, and finally gave it a full upgrade because this thing needed it so bad. And we are down in the United States to drive this for the first time. So this is the first drive, my first time ever sitting in here, my first time actually seeing it in person, my first time driving it properly. And today we're going to talk about what's new, what does it drive like, if you should buy it, and why I think it's actually a very good deal for this vehicle. First up, exterior design. Of course, it is very different to the previous generation. It's got more presence, more boldier look, more luxurious look. Front grille, although the front headlights remind me a bit of a Hyundai Tucson, very much similar design to that. The rear end as well continues with that. The presence is there for sure. You're gonna make a statement with this thing when you're driving, and in some ways it doesn't actually look like a Nissan, it looks more like an Infiniti, but an Infiniti that costs a lot less than an Infiniti. They've done a great job with the design. I really like the looks. When you see it in person, it's a lot different than when you see it on pictures, because my first reaction watching it from the pictures I wasn't quite sure if I liked it. But then now that I see it in person, it's got a different perspective, different presence for sure. On the outside, now it has new LED headlights with a two-tone paint option. The interior, of course, has received updates. There's also a new engine compared to the outgoing model. There's more tech features, and of course, the vehicle is actually larger than the outgoing model. The vehicle now is 66.3 millimeters wider, and it has a ground clearance of about 210.3 millimeters, which is 34.3 millimeters higher compared to the outgoing model for ground clearance, which should mean maybe you could take this a bit of off-roading. Now let's talk about the engine. Well, the V6 is gone, and the reason is simply because automakers are trying to satisfy the government. They have emission standards to follow, they have rules to follow, otherwise they pay fines. So they replaced, of course, the V6 with a 2-liter 4-cylinder VC turbo, which makes 241 brake horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque. Now, the good news is that it's equipped with a 9-speed automatic transmissions. You also have pedal shifters behind the steering wheel. The fuel efficiency is better now compared to the older model. Essentially, you're getting better fuel efficiency on the city, highway as well. You're looking about, combined together, about 9.7 liters per 100 kilometers. The outgoing model was about 10.4 liters per 100 kilometers. On the outside, you get different options for paint choices. First, you can get a monotone, which is one color, and you can get a two-tone. The two-tone is only offered with a two-tone Aurora blue and a two-tone Everest white, which is quite nice. I actually saw one of those and it looked very sharp. The one that we're driving today, it's called Champagne Silver, which kind of reminds me a bit of the Infiniti QX60 autobiography, autograph, which had similar paint choice. So in total, you get about 9 paint choices. You've got a lot to pick from, which could make it even a little bit difficult to try to figure out which one do you like the most. Out of all of them, I actually prefer the two-tone, the white color, the Everest white. It just makes the car look even sharper. It shows the lines because it's got very beautiful lines on the outside. It's got a very bolder look. It's got a nice stance overall. Now, in terms of driving, a few things that you notice with this is that the steering wheel now, it is not hydraulic electric. Now it's fully electric power steering wheel, which means you get a better feedback, also lighter for long trips you're going to enjoy. In fact, I gotta change this back to standard because the car is revving too high in sport mode. And another good reason for that electric power steering wheel, because this vehicle is equipped with a ProPilot Assist. Now, you also have a 4% faster steering and, of course, a 45% lower stationary steering efforts compared to the previous generation. Suspension system. Well, Nissan says that you get less body roll. In fact, you get about 25% increased front suspension stiffness and about 24.5% on the rear side. So you avoid that body roll so the car doesn't feel like you're riding on a boat, which I'm not a big fan of, and a lot of cars do that. Now, on the inside, since we're driving this vehicle, what do we notice? Well, first, very premium interior, not just in feel, but also in looks. Like, for example, we've got this massive screen now, updated, that really gives you a different experience as a driver and also as a passenger. There's a large 12.4 inch, I believe, screen here. It's a dual monitor. You get a heads-up display with this. You also get a full digital cluster, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, 360 camera, which is huge, but you're just gonna have to wait till I tell you the price because it's gonna blow your mind. And it blew my mind initially. The screen is quite nice to use as a driver. You have access to Google Maps built in. It's essentially a Google, well, an Android application in this case, which gives you a lot of features. I'm not talking to you, Google. In this case, I have my phone connected through Apple CarPlay, but you can also do wirelessly. Right now, we've got 2 USB-C ports in there. Not many buttons, just enough touch buttons in this case. But having said that, this one does have very similar design to the Aria, including the steering wheel, which now is completely different. You've got a nice finish, a bit of flat button. You've got these buttons here. There's also this sort of tilted button that matches your thumb movement. You have more buttons where you can switch from different screens. The steering column is actually powered, which shocked me even more for this price range. We've got a beautiful panoramic roof with a sunroof in the front that you can open if you need some fresh air. The sitting position is nice. There's also massage seats in this car, which again, it's also very impressive. On the driver's side, we've got 2 memory seats. In this case, on the passenger side, you don't get that, but you also get a power seat on the passenger, which is quite nice. That was standard mode. It pulls, it actually pulls. People will be like, well, the V6, you know, they have that judgment about being reliable and so on. Truth is, yes and no, but you also get better fuel efficiency with this car, which does help quite a lot. It pulls nicely. The engine is very responsive. In fact, we're gonna put it in sport mode right now and see what this bad boy can do. Here we go. We're on our own here. Okay, let's do a quick launch control. Not bad. Okay, well, that was quick. Really picked up nicely. Now, when you're merging onto the highway, if you don't know this, you have to catch up to the speed of the highway, not the other way around. And this car will do that. Really pulled nicely. It's got really nice pickup. One thing I noticed with this when I jumped in is how quiet it is. Right now on the highway, you don't hear much of the road noise. In fact, I'm gonna keep this in standard mode. It's well isolated. Visibility, I got good visibility in the back, although this does have a bit of a curved rear end, but that doesn't really matter because you've got 360 camera, which is quite nice. We're gonna test out the ProPilot Assist 1.1. They haven't upgraded to the 2.1 yet, but let's see how this bad boy is gonna do. Turn on, set. Let's see, come on, there we go. It is set. We've got gap assist. They did mention that eventually the 2.1 model, the 2.1 ProPilot Assist will come eventually, but at the moment they are not offering it, which is probably gonna be a hardware. That means it's gonna be an extra option that you have to pick. But this car, for the price, is well positioned compared to other models. In some ways, I find this to be, well, a lot better than other models. Like, for example, you're getting value for a Lexus, but it's a Nissan, which it's kind of shocking. You got so much tech features in here, including massive screens, including wireless charging pad, heated seats, ventilated seats, I believe as well, heated steering wheel, which is again quite impressive. It's got a nice interior. We have the Murano glass in the front to match the name. The design is quite nice. I wish there were a few more buttons in here, physical buttons, because I like buttons. That would make a huge difference. But so far, in terms of tech features and first time driving, I like this thing. It's comfortable, it's very soft on the roads, even though they have increased the stiffness of the suspension system. The steering is nice, the road noise is not as noticeable on these roads. Like a truck just passed by, which looks like a diesel truck, and you barely hear it. Pricing wise, the top trim in Canada is tested about $54,000. That is very well priced. If you're looking at a Lexus RX, for example, if you're looking at a Mazda CX-70, this car is well positioned for the price. You get so much. Now, if you guys really want to see a comparison between this and something else, let me know in the comment section below, because I can do that. But it's so well positioned in terms of price because you get so much tech for this, and how they manage to do that is beyond me. Like, I don't get it how they're able to make money out of this, because he's got so much tech features. It's spacious, it's got a massive trunk in the back, you've got space on the inside. Like, as a driver, I feel quite comfortable and feels very, very spacious. The ride is super comfortable in this vehicle. For the price, you're getting yourself a heck of a deal. You can't beat this car in any other level. I mean, in some ways, it gets to the same premium level of a Mercedes or a BMW. The interior is just as luxurious, it's loaded with tech, loaded with comforts. It looks good on the outside. And the Murano has always kind of been that sort of niche market where many people didn't like a three-row SUV, but they wanted something large and also a bit more premium. And the Murano kind of filled that gap and is doing that again, even better this time. I think they've done a great job. They've nailed the design. The actual interior is quite nice. You've got audio system from Bose, 10 speakers. You got Google built in for the SL and the Platinum package. And you also get wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is quite nice. I'm actually looking forward to have this thing potentially for a week, because it would be nice to drive it even more and test it out with the family and put some stuff in the back and a child seat in the back and see how this thing handles. But first impressions, really like this. Like how it drives. It's got a comfortable ride. It's pretty premium on the inside, and you would expect this car to be well above $60,000, well above 60 grand, and it's not, which it's crazy how they're doing this. It's just even crazy.